Great. Okay.
My whole life, I have been drawn to just kick-ass women. If you are a performer that is known to get stuff done and be a good human being, I am drawn to you like a moth to a flame.
Oh,
So,
well, likewise. Yeah, thank you.
oh, JJ Stenhouse, you got it. When we had met at that networking event, so JJ and I were at how we met is through a networking event. And the first breakout I went to, I was maybe on the call for a minute. And all of these women start talking about JJ like she's a rock star. Like, you got to get on JJ's podcast. She's just an amazing human being. And at that point, I was like, I gotta get to know JJ. And I am so happy that I did.
You met my half dozen fans there. That's about, that's it. You met my whole fan base. But I'm so glad that you did. I'm really glad that you did. Yeah.
Me too. It's amazing how, and I feel like I've gotten this the older that I've gotten, just this intuition and this knowing when you connect with good people.
Yeah. Yeah. I know what you're talking about there. Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. Well, ditto.
Thank you, my friend. So when we first met and we had our first just intro, get to know each other time together, you had said something that hit me to my core. And I don't even know if you realize that you said this. So you'd said to me, Meg, here I am in my 60s, and I feel like I'm living my best life. I've been reborn.
Yeah. And how true that is. That's no word of a lie. It's really interesting to me because who would have thought, when my mother was my age, I think she'd kind of, she'd retired, given up on life, was just sort of living out her days. I don't think from wherever she is now, she would mind me saying that. But I do find that I've got a completely new lease on life, and I am living my best life. I'm doing what I want to be doing, what I should be doing, but what I'm here to be doing. And it's been an eye-opener for me. I can't deny it, that I could be so contented in a certain way. In other words, losing all the anxieties that we have when we're younger, in our teens, our 20s, even our 30s, losing all of those anxieties, being able to actually stand in my power. And I'm actually healthier now than I ever was. And we might want to talk about that a bit later. But it is true. I am living my best life now. And even in the past year, I've had immense change. Well, my mother did pass away about 18 months ago. And my father had left us some years before. But even that, I think a lot of people will also corroborate this. Losing a parent, or when you lose both of your parents, there is quite a sort of almost a growing up that happens, no matter how old you are. So there was something of that going on, some kind of transition there going on. And I moved to a new place, not far away from where I was born. And I've just come back to Scotland, where I'm from, although I don't sound like it, I know. But I moved to a new place, a new village. And I am so pleased with the way things have turned out right now. And if you'd said to me a year ago, or over a year ago, that I would be swimming in the sea, in the North Sea, off the coast of Scotland, most mornings in the cold, when the air temperature is around freezing, I'd have told you were mad. But I am doing that. And it is one of the best life choices I've made. It's fantastic. It's amazing how good you feel. It's a bit of an extension, or a natural extension, of the Wim Hof, cold water method. So, but you get a swim, and we are in such a beautiful place here. People drive here from all over the middle of Scotland, from Glasgow. I mean, we're about an hour and a half's drive away from Glasgow, and people will come from there just to swim on the coast here. We have a tidal pool. How lucky. But is it luck? You know, you're
Mm.
drawn, or you're directed to a place, and you know, something says, oh yeah, this is where I'm meant to be right now. And it's just perfect. I mean,
Oh, I
obviously it's not
love
perfect,
that.
perfect, but it is perfect.
Oh, I love that. JJ, why do you think there were so many nuggets that you shared with us right there. The one question that I automatically think of is, why do you think that here you are in your 60s living your best life and where you're supposed to be and in the best health, where there's so many other women in their 60s that are just skating it out?
Mm. Well, I think that a lot of not just women, but women lose track of who they are, and they hand over their power, whether it be to a higher entity, whether it be to a partner, family. You know, as women, we go through life and we give so much of ourselves, and we can forget who we are, and that we are powerful, extraordinary people, beings. And so I think for me, I stepped into my power. I was gradually stepping into my power throughout my later years, certainly over the past 10 years, I'd say. But I took personal control over my health way back in my 20s. And as I say, we can talk about that later, but that is one area. And I became very in tune with my body, very in tune with, you know, what's going on with me.
Mhm.
So I do pay attention to all of that, and I rectify things if I think things are going wrong. But I also am very clear now about who I am and what I want and what I'm doing. So, you know, and I don't make excuses anymore. And I don't, you know, I've got boundaries now. I've got my very firm boundaries set. If I don't want to do something because I don't think it's right for me to do it, I don't do it.
Have
And
you
that,
read Terry Cole has this book out called Boundary Boss? Have
no, I
you?
haven't. No, I haven't read that one.
Oh, as she's talking through it, and I can't wait for you to read it, JJ. She is just talking about how, as high performers, we feel that people have access to us at all times,
Yeah. Yeah.
and there's no bouncer, if you will. We have no VIP rope. We just let people in and to have access at all times. So, as you're talking about owning your power, standing in it, and creating boundaries, it just made me reflect to so many things that she shares in that book.
Yeah, well, I'm sure. And it is really important to have those boundaries, because you can be leaking your energy left, right, and center without even knowing it if you're not careful. So it's really, it's a long journey. I'm not saying that you can, you know, suddenly flip it overnight and become you know, the most powerful you that ever has been. It can be a long journey for some. It was a long journey for me. So, you know, but it is about starting on that journey and starting to get to know yourself and valuing yourself. If you don't value yourself, who else is going to value you?
Oh, that is a tweetable moment right there. Oh, I
Yeah.
love that.
Yeah. You cannot expect people to value you or love you if you don't value and love yourself. So those are some fundamentals. But then beyond that, it really is a question of standing in your power. And what I do is I tune into my body, because your body is a great instrument for telling you what you know, what's right and what's not right for you.
We've
Do you
all
ever
heard
get,
about that gut instinct, right? I didn't
yeah,
listen to it and look what happened.
hello, I've done that myself. No,
Oh, we could go down that path, JJ, real quick.
hands up. Yep, we've all done that. But it is a fact. When you start actually listening to that gut instinct and you start listening to your body and you take action from that point, boy, do you see a difference in your life? Yeah, really. So that's something that I am firmly, you know, focused on. If it doesn't feel right, it doesn't get done by me. Somebody else can do that, not me.
I love that. I love that. When we had So we went down many paths when we first talked. It was a very soulful conversation. One of the things that I love about you is just the ease of feeling open and connected. And we had shared some of our misery stories on our life and our journey. And we had said, everything looks good on paper. And as our society, that's what we're trained to believe that we want. I have the job, I have the money, I have the relationship. And to your point, in my gut, I just feel off. And we try to ignore that. And you had a great career in journalism that we had talked about. And your father had said to you at one point, why didn't you keep the job in journalism? If you would have kept that job, where do you think you'd be today? And do you remember what you said back to him?
Yeah. I said, I'd be dead, Dad. And he didn't know quite what to make of that. Bless him. But but I really sincerely believe that I would have just crumbled. I mean, I couldn't, my whole body was screaming, stop.
Mm. So and what made you listen to it? What made you finally listen to that voice?
I don't know what it is that made me finally listen to it. I think, as I said, it's been a long process. So I think I'd maybe got to that point in the road where I had the strength enough to say, yeah, okay, I'm all ears. I'm listening. I've got to stop. I'm walking away. I can't do this anymore. But also you could argue that it became so intolerable for me that I just couldn't do it anymore. Just from the sheer kind of day-to-day of going into a television studio, which I was doing at the time, working in news and current affairs, which I was doing at the time, which is all so negative.
Yes. We've all heard that soul sucking. This job is soul sucking.
Yeah. Yeah. And it was, as far as I was concerned. So yeah, I walked away and I started doing coaching and developed that. I've also always been able to work with energy. I've been a medical intuitive, and I was doing that as well. So yeah, but it's funny that right now I seem to be going back into journalism and back into the media, but from a completely different standpoint.
Does it feel full circle to you? Does it feel like you're now going back to your roots, but with you attached to it?
Well, it kind of does, yeah. Because here's the thing. I know that I'm a Gemini. So, two sides to me, or at least four sides, actually, because I'm a quadruple Gemini, Sun, Moon, Mars, and Mercury in Gemini. So that's a bit, that's quite a big Gemini thing. So there are lots of different sides to me. So all the way through my journalism career, my first journalism career, I was separating the two halves. I was separating the me that was the energy worker, the healer, although I don't like to use that word, the person who was supporting others, who was, was working with animals. And then there was this other hard-bitten, hard-nosed news hound, right? Who was none of those things. I mean, of course I had to stop. It was literally tearing me apart. So now what I'm doing is I'm bringing the two together. So it's whole. So you get the whole of me now, not just one part of me or a little bit of me here and a little bit of me there. You get the whole of me now.
I love that, because I think that I know for myself, I always felt that there was a corporate side of me. I had to wear my corporate hat, which is not who I intrinsically was. To your point, JJ, hard-nosed, ruthless, cutthroat. But then there was the side of me who I really am, which is let's support each other. Let's love each other. Let's build a community. And I always felt that I was just torn. And so you're telling us when you feel that way, you are not living your truth.
No, you're really not living your truth. But it can be tricky to find a way through to where you can express your truth, right? Mm-hmm. And it took me a long time. I did love coaching, and I And I did coach people in how to speak, and I coach people in media, how to deal with the media, that kind of thing. And I loved that. But it still wasn't totally me. And now I do feel that I've brought the two sides together. And if I can say, I edit the Natural Health magazine now. That's all me. That's totally where I'm coming from. Natural health. Nature knows best. I have my own radio show on UK Health Radio. I call it Alchemy 1.01. It's all about transformation. It's all about how we transform our lives, ourselves and our lives, to live the life that we're here to live our best life ever. And and also, I'm with the Women Speakers Association, which is the most fabulously supportive women's organization, and has, it's just full of wonderful people like you. And I meet the best people there, the best supportive people there, the best people who have also gone through this journey, or who are going through this journey. But we all want the same. We want to support, hold up, lift up, I should say, rather than hold up, our fellow women. And that is extraordinary. And so those three things together right now, plus living somewhere that I absolutely adore, and, getting out into nature all the time, swimming in the sea, does it get any better than that? And remember the times we're living in. It is possible to feel that you're living your best life right now.
Life doesn't need to be so hard.
No.
JJ, our listeners, go ahead.
No, go.
Our listeners that think to themselves right now, I resonate so much with this. I feel like I'm conflicted. I know that there's a better life out there for me, but I don't know where to start.
Yeah.
What would you tell them?
Well, start with paying attention to you and to your feelings, to your gut. Start noticing when you feel certain emotions. Don't push them away. Feel them. Feel them, notice them, don't judge them. And then just let them, just let them be and move on. But notice it. Notice what might have caused that, if you can. And then in time, you'll be able to deal with those, from a much better place. But the other thing for me throughout my life, certainly since my 20s, my early 20s, is pay attention to what you're putting into and onto your body. So we're surrounded by all kinds of things which don't always serve us in terms of food, and also toiletries, cosmetics, cleaning products. What are we putting into our homes? How is your home? Is it cluttered? Or is it, is it nicely laid out so that you know where everything is? Having said that, I'm sitting in an office which is reasonably cluttered at the moment, but that's the office of a magazine editor right now. I am going to tidy up this weekend. But, clutters us. The clutter around us reflects the clutter that's in us. If we can tidy our living space up, we will find much easier to get through life. So it's paying attention to what's around you, paying attention to what you put onto your body. What chemicals are you ingesting through your skin? Because make no mistake, your skin actually takes in the chemicals that are in whatever preparations you're putting onto it. What are you cleaning your house with? A lot of people who suffer from asthma, for instance, it's because they're using cleaning products that are, they're actually allergic to. Not always the case, but, there are a lot of health issues that are caused by some of the really quite industrialized cleaning products that we have. And then what are you eating? There's, there's a lot of talk these days about industrialized food that has been over processed. Now, for me, I steer clear of any processed food as far as I can. I do not eat processed food. Why? Because there are generally so many additives in there. By the way, I've been a labels reader for about 40 years, 45 years. I mean, don't take me near a supermarket. I'm just standing there reading packets and labels. But I find that a very natural, organic where possible, as unindustrialized as possible. So in other words, as next to nature as possible diet is really the best for me. Now, I do take supplements as well, because even these days, even I'm guessing probably even organic vegetables, soils have been so depleted over the years that we are not getting the same vitamins from them as we used to. So I do take supplements when I feel I need to. And that's the other key. It's important not to over supplement. It's important not to, take stuff that you don't need. I always know. And you know how I know? I'll forget to take it. I'll forget to take something and I'll think, oh, right, I don't need that. Okay, put that to one side.
JJ, that would explain. And for those of us who are just on the podcast and not watching us on YouTube, that would explain why your skin is amazing. You look great, girlfriend. You look
thank
great.
you. Yeah, thank you. Well, I mean, part of it's genetics, right? But I do take, I'm going to say I take care of myself, but that makes it sound like it's a chore, right?
Right.
I don't, it's not a big deal to me. It's just what I do. It's who I am. It's what I do. It's how I
The
live.
habit.
It's a habit. Yeah. I remember a friend of mine who was a fourth or fifth generation vegetarian. And he used to say, no, I don't, that's not what I eat. I don't eat that, meat, fish, whatever. It was just almost part of his DNA at that point. And it just would never cross his mind to eat anything that wasn't vegetarian. And I kind of feel the same thing for me. It just never crosses my mind to go and get a pre-prepared meal out of a freezer in a supermarket and then heat it up in a microwave. Oh my God, I couldn't think of anything worse. And the thing for me now, that kind of food tastes just awful. I don't even want, if I even did it now, I'd look at it, smell it and think, no, I can't go there. That's not what I do.
JJ, you raised such a great point with that. So I'm not sure if I shared this with you. I recently got married.
Yeah, you did.
And right,
Congratulations.
thank you. Right. A couple months before the wedding, every woman, wants to look her best on that day. And so I had started to do keto. And I am German, Pennsylvania Dutch. So we were born and raised on potatoes and bread. And I said to Michael, there's no way I'm going to be able to do this. However, I did it and I felt so much better. Now, I don't know if it's a sustainable lifestyle, but to your point, I don't even miss bread anymore because I'm so used to it. And when I do eat it, I don't like the bloat that I feel. It's just amazing and you had talked about this before we popped on and started recording, the mind hacks, right? And the brain hacks that you can play on yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And, the keto diet might not be for everybody, but you've tried it and you felt great on it. It may be that you go back to a diet where you have the odd potato or the odd bit of bread. I've done that myself. I've had ages where I've not had any bread whatsoever. And I've had, not even any substitutes, but, and not been on a keto diet particularly, but just cut out bread, cut out too many carbs, that sort of thing. But then I'll sort of go backwards and forwards, and that's okay.
Hey.
There's the other thing is you really, it's not healthy to start just focusing so hard on what you eat, right? It does you more harm than good, I think. Be easy with it. Have fun with it. If you're enjoying something, great. Eat it, right? But, notice how you feel afterwards. If you feel a bit heavy, if you feel bloated, then, not to do it so often, right?
JJ, that is such a great point. I love that you said that, because I think I know with myself that I've said, okay, it's all or nothing. Like when I'm going on an air quote diet, and I hate that word because now you're removing things from yourself and restricting from yourself. And you think, okay, tomorrow I am gonna not eat any sugar. I'm not gonna drink anything. And, I'm only gonna eat vegetables. Well, how long does that last? And how sustainable
Like
is
2 minutes. Yeah. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. And yet, you can go sort of cold turkey on certain things, and that's fine. But, again, you just have to listen to your own body. And it's okay if you fall off the wagon, right? It's okay if you have some sugar.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. You call yourself the practical alchemist. And I love to hear you explain this. You talk about it, and this really hit with me because at first I was like, well, practical alchemist, let me see what this is. And as I heard you explain it, I love when you said, it's not woo woo, it's not pie in the sky, it's practical things that we do to reconnect back to ourselves. And
Yeah.
so share with us some of these practical things and ideas that have allowed you to reconnect with yourself, and how that's evolved through your journey.
Yeah. Yeah, certainly. Yeah. Well, we've been talking about some of it, and that
Yes.
is listening to ourselves, paying attention to our bodies, and 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 then the boundaries as well, so you're not being sucked away by other people's energies, and other people's time. That's so that's part of it, but it is all very practical. And one of the things about alchemy in the olden days was said to be a way of mirroring the natural processes of nature, but speeding them up in a laboratory. So the idea was that you would create gold out of base metal by speeding up the process that the earth carries out to create gold. Now, I don't know if anybody ever did that, but alchemy is also about it's about transformation. And so in this case, we're talking about personal transformation, personal alchemy. And one of the ways to do that is to, getting back to the nature theme, reconnect with nature. And you can do that wherever you are. So one of the things that I do, and I talked about it earlier, was I go swimming virtually every day in nature. I connect to nature in a conscious way every day. Now, I know some of the people listening to this will be saying, yeah, but I live in a city, so how do I do that? Even in cities, there are parks, there are gardens, there, you might have something growing in your backyard. That's connecting to nature, doing some gardening. Even if you don't have a backyard, even if you only have a balcony, grow something in a pot. You can grow food on a balcony and eat your own food. That's a way of reconnecting to nature and reconnecting to that part of you which has been lost through city living, through using devices, phones. We're talking now on the through the internet. So that's one way of beginning to reconnect with nature, and through that reconnecting to your true self, because you are a being of nature. We are not apart from nature. We are nature. Now, in Japan, forest bathing is a big thing, and it's become a big thing here in the UK, and probably is in North America as well. And forest bathing is just going into a wooded area. It doesn't matter how big it is, doesn't matter how small it is, and you just breathe in the energy from the trees. And the trees are actually spreading pheromones all around them, and we benefit from those. That's why when you go for a walk in the woods or you go for a walk in the forest, you feel good at the end of it, because you're taking on board all the chemicals that the trees are giving out all the time. But you're also connecting with nature. Walk barefoot if you can. Walking barefoot is a wonderful way of just connecting, relaxing, And there is something physical and, chemical that happens when you have your feet in connection with the sand or the soil or whatever. It's really, really good for you. And then here's another key: silence. Sit in silence for a little time every day. Notice what comes up. Don't let it bother you. It's not meditation. For me, I used to meditate. I don't anymore. For me, meditation is too forced. Now I just sit in silence. I hear what's going on around. Let it go. I think, have thoughts maybe come into my head. Let them go. But I tell you something about the being in silence. I often get some really brilliant ideas after that. It's almost as if when you tune into yourself, your true self, your genius is allowed to come out. Instead of having,
I love that.
yeah, instead of having all those thoughts, coming in, you just let go of all of that and you allow your genius to rise up and come out. So that for me is a real key. Yeah.
I started reading The Artist Way.
Mm.
And life changer for anyone that wants to tap into their creative spirit. Check it out. And one of the things that she recommends is these artist pages, which is to just sit in silence and put pen to paper.
Yes. Yes.
And I will tell you, I started doing that, and don't overthink it. Just let
Yep.
it flow. Don't rewrite it. Don't cross it out. Just let it flow. And to your point, JJ, when you said some of my best ideas come when I'm sitting in that silence,
Mm-hmm.
I've only been doing it for maybe 2 months, 3 months. I have had the most breakthroughs through 5 minutes, just
Yeah.
pen to paper.
Yeah. Yes. And I know some artists who work that way as well. They just sit inside and they just let come, through their pen or their brush, come what may. And
Yes.
it's extraordinary sometimes. In fact, I have a painting in my living room, as we call it now, which was just created in that way by a wonderful Norwegian artist called Siri Opley. And she used all kinds of things. She started off using coffee to paint this. It's an elephant, huge elephant, but she started off painting it with coffee, real coffee, and then she uses inks and watercolors, and it's really free, and it has this energy that
How
you
interesting.
wouldn't otherwise have had if she'd sort of sat down and said, right, I'm going to do this elephant and I'm going to do it this way and I'm going to have this color palette and I'm going to do this, that, and the other. No, none of that. It's just free flowing. And then she wrote the legend underneath, trust your magic. So that sits in the room where I sit in silence.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah. Yeah.
JJ, you had talked about, and this hit home for me about connecting in nature, that it doesn't need to be this big, difficult task,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like most of us think if we can't dedicate an hour to hiking, then we can't connect with nature.
Yeah.
And to your point, put a pot outside and let that be your connection. So one of the
Yeah.
things that we talk about within this community are micro steps, small intentional ways that you can reconnect with yourself. So can you share with our listeners some micro steps to infuse into their life today to begin to reconnect with themselves, and what's worked for you?
Well, again, I come back to the listening to yourself. Develop a habit of just sitting and paying attention to what's going on in your body. Don't judge it. Just develop the habit of just sitting and paying attention. Sitting in silence and paying attention, noticing. You don't have to get the answer right there. If you're thinking, oh, I wonder what's causing that, just put it out there that you'd like to know, and the answer will come to you at some stage. The boundaries issue is a big one. Start looking at where you might be leaking your energy. Where are you giving more energy out than is coming back? Now, this can be a tricky one, because it can be personal relationships, work, all kinds of things can be involved there. But start noticing it again, just noticing. I think the baby steps are really in the paying attention and noticing, not requiring any answers immediately, but just noticing and then letting go of that. And you'll find as you go forward that that will develop into you being able to find the answers, apply whatever it is that your innate wisdom has told you you need to do. You'll develop that ability to listen to that innate wisdom and develop your power. For those people who are able to see us in vision, I've got a unicorn behind me, and I choose the unicorn as a symbol for my work because the unicorn is all about purity and power, and they were believed to be power beyond measure. Remember that we are powerful beyond measure, but we have to recognize that and stand in that power. Now, the unicorn's also the national animal of Scotland, but that's by the by. We used to have unicorns on coins. We used to trade in unicorns as well at one time. I think we're the only country in the world that has a mythical beast as its national animal. But anyway, but yeah, you will find the more you do that, the more you recognize. I think it's a question of recognizing your own power.
Mm-hmm.
And then
and also
standing in it.
You've mentioned numerous times, JJ, throughout our time together today on just trusting the process.
Yeah.
And I know.
Trust your magic.
And trust your magic.
Mm-hmm.
For me, born and bred in the Northeast of the United States, it's go, 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 go.
Yeah.
And I have felt throughout my journey that I was just talking to a girlfriend about this last night. If I am not producing A+ content, if I'm not getting the accolades, if I'm not seeing it in front of me producing results right now, I feel like it's failing, whatever that thing is, and that I'm not producing, and I get frustrated.
Yeah. Yeah. You've got to let go of all of that. Really.
Yes.
You have got to let go, because that's like the chains that bind the unicorn, right? So in a lot of depictions of unicorns, you'll see there's a chain around the neck. And in fact, in the royal crest of the UK, the United Kingdom, there's a lion on one side and a unicorn on the other. The lion represents England, and the unicorn representing Scotland has a chain around its neck. Now, that may be because the unicorn was believed to be too powerful, right? So you had to chain the unicorn.
Love that.
Yeah. So, but you see, all of this busyness and this, I must, that's the chain that is keeping your unicorn down. Okay. So let go of that. Allow your genius to come up, and being in silence for a certain, just, it doesn't have to be more than a couple of minutes, 5 minutes. Being in silence is really powerful, incredibly powerful. And then noticing what's coming up and allowing that power, those ideas, that creativity, that genius to blossom.
Unlock the chain.
Yeah. Unlock the chain. Just let it all come out. And, let's stop comparing ourselves to other people.
Oh, that's a praise be moment, right? Preach to me, JJ.
Let us stop comparing ourselves to other people. There is nobody like you. There's nobody like me, and there's nobody like you. So let's just let go of that one and let's get on with life, right? You're never going to be like the next person. Why would you want to be? Bring out your own genius, bring out your own creativity, be the person you're meant to be, and live the life you're meant to be living.
for those of you that have not listened to last week's episode, I just talked about that, getting off the comparison roller coaster.
All
And
right.
JJ, God, that is so true. There were so many times in my life where I sat in it by myself in this apartment thinking that I was a loser because my friends were getting married and having children, and that wasn't in the cards for me yet. So I sulked thinking that, why can't I have this? And I never took the time to realize all of these things that I was doing that were never done in my family before.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it is, you know, that's part of the chain that binds us. It really is. So it is about getting rid of, or letting go of, getting rid of sounds a bit harsh, but letting go of all these things that have been built up inside us, and they're not us. None of this is me, none of this is you, none of this is anybody who's listening. None of these thoughts are you. You know, the real you is in here, in your body, in your heart, in your gut, dying to get out and express the real you to the world, and make your contribution to the world. Now, boundaries are important. You'll start noticing boundaries. You'll start noticing where you're leaking energy. You'll start noticing where you have to be stronger. I'm not saying that you can change in a heartbeat, because for some of us, it's really hard, but you'll get there. You can get there. And if you need to get help, right? If you need to speak to somebody who's on the same wavelength. I mean, you know, please don't make the mistake of talking to a best friend who'll just tell you to not be so stupid and, you know, just get on with it.
Right.
No, talk to somebody who you know can support you and help you go forward in your life. And that's invaluable. And I've had a lot of people like that in my life as well. A lot of people who've really helped me. It's the hero's journey, you know. We set off on the hero's journey. Joseph O'Connor wrote about this. And you'll see in all fairy tales and legends, you know, the hero sets off on a journey and they don't believe they can do it. But then, you know, people band around. So you never do it on your own. And they face challenges and they face dragons and they face this, that, and the other. And then they get to where they need to be, thanks to not just their power and courage, but to the team that they get around them. So it's really important to have people in your life who have your back.
I love that. You don't need to suffer alone.
No. No, not at all. Not
JJ,
at
you
all.
are amazing. I'm sitting here like this, soaking up every word that you're giving us. Tell us more. I am going to link JJ's show, her website, in our show notes so you can follow her.
Thank you.
It's beautifully worded, authentic knowledge. You, my friend, are featured in Voices of the 21st Century.
Yeah. Coming up in February. Yay.
So tell us about that book. How can we find it? How can we support you? What's in that book? Lay it on us.
Okay, well, it's coming out in February, and I have a chapter, and I'm one of a number of women who have a chapter in the book, and it's all about self-care and caring. It's very exciting to not only to have a chapter in a book like that, but to be with, again, a group of women who all have your back, and, you know, we're all supportive of each other. It's been a fantastic experience to go through. So the book will be published on, I think it's the 22nd of February. So coming up soon. Oh my word, it is coming up soon. I hadn't even thought about that until now. Coming up soon through WSA Publishing. You will be able to get it on my website, from my website, when it's published, but you'll also be able to get copies from, you know, all the usual places, Amazon and whatever. So, but it will be late February before it's published. And yeah, do come on by. I'll have stuff on my website about it shortly, having just realized how soon it is that it's going to be published.
I know, we're so busy, like living in the week, right? I just realized the other day, I'm like, oh my God, we're in December.
Yeah, exactly. Christmas is nearly here. Christmas is around the corner. So yes, there will be details on my website. very soon. And as soon as we have all the, the links and all of that to buy, then that'll be there too. So yeah. And the chapter in my book is all about my journey to health. So my journey from finding that nobody knew what was wrong with me in my early 20s, to losing faith with the, shall we say, the allopathic medical community. We have in our system in the UK, our general practitioners and people like that, because they couldn't tell me what was wrong with me. And I followed a natural course, and I've done that for the last 45 years. And again, to repeat what I said to my father, I think if I hadn't, I'd be dead by now. Because one of the things I've discovered only recently is a condition which I don't think anybody knew about then. But, the answer was just to keep giving me pharmaceutical drugs, pharmaceutical this, that, and the other. And they were reacting against me. And I just had to stop. But that sent me on my journey of all things natural, of natural well-being. And it's brought me to where I am now. So, great, fantastic. Here I am.
Isn't life an amazing thing? Like when you sit back and really think about the journey that led you to where you are today, and all the signs pointing to it, right? Like, do you look back and think all of these dots connected?
Yeah, it is extraordinary. It really is. Yeah. And I remember when I was I trained in NLP, neuro-linguistic programming, and I never did really go down the route of being a therapist in that area. But I do remember at the end of one of the levels of training that I did, I sort of took quite a lot of NLP training. And I always remember our trainer saying, now go out into the world and apply it to what you do. And that's kind of stuck with me as well. And so, what is it that, you see, here's the thing, lots of people don't understand or don't realize quite what it is that they're here to do. And I've kind of gone backwards and forwards, but I realized that one of my strengths, one of my gifts, I don't know, is communication. So it comes into who I communicate to, how I communicate, and what I communicate. And, so I think that's the other thing. Don't throw the baby out with the bathwater, as my mother always used to say. If you have a strength, how can you best use that? Is that what you're supposed to be doing? You're you. You don't have to be doing it the same way as anybody else. And, all these schemes as well, if you're finding yourself looking to make money online or something like that, they all say, do it this way. Do you know what? I've never been able to do it anybody's way. I have to do it my way. And I realized I after some time came to realize that, I cannot sit, I'm just not made that way. I cannot sit here and regurgitate something that bores me rigid, that somebody else has come up with just to make some money. And money's just an energy. And what you find as well, when you get into the flow of, being who you are and doing what you need to do, that money will come. The key there, don't be afraid. Have no fear. Because when you have fear, that's the other link in the chain around the unicorn's neck.
Oh, I love that. JJ, my battery's running low. Oh, no.
Oh, no.
Oh, no. Let me plug it in. You would think I would have been prepared for our time together today, but whoever is, one moment, please. As you are giving us all of these beautiful nuggets.
You were ignoring the fact that your battery light was coming on.
I'm like, oh, no. Don't shut down on me now.
No.
So I was talking to a girlfriend of mine the other week, and she was telling me, Meg, growing up, I felt like all of these things were my weaknesses. I was loud. I was boisterous. I always got the C from from the teacher in regards to not being able to sit still and be quiet. She said, not until later in life did I realize that that was my strength. Was I able to really blossom? And I have felt that too, feeling like I need to fit into this type, into this box. When I don't, I feel like I need to make myself smaller.
Yeah. Yes. And that can come out of family dynamics as well, you know. And you know, it's interesting as well how families can keep you small. Families can say, oh no, don't do it, really. So yeah, again, you know, but it takes time sometimes to get to the point where you can recognize that, and move away from that. And you know, and also there is absolutely no shame in saying, yeah, I'm not, you know, I'm not having any of this anymore. I'm not, you know, that's it. I'm not doing this anymore. Okay. I've just got to move myself away from it. There's no shame in that either, because you have your unique makeup, your unique being, you're a unique being. You have your gift to give to the world, and anything, any chain, I'll come back to the unicorn, any chain in the unicorn's neck that's holding you down, you want to break that. Definitely.
JJ, you are amazing. I have loved this time with you today. And I know you've dropped so many wonderful nuggets on our community. Where can we where can we find you?
Okay, well, my website, jjsalchemy.com. And you can find me as The Practical Alchemist on Instagram and Facebook. I'm not the best at social media, so, you know.
Hey, you and me both, my friend.
Yeah. But you can find me there. You can message me there. You can email me, jj@jjsalchemy.com. And I'm also on LinkedIn as JJ Stenhouse, if anybody wants to connect that way. I don't do Twitter much. Sorry, guys. Really can't be doing with it.
You know, there's only so much energy you have in a day.
Yeah.
I'm going to link this all in the show notes.
Brilliant.
So easy access.
Brilliant. Thank you. Yeah, no, I really appreciate that. Yeah, but I welcome anybody who wants to get in touch, anybody who wants to follow up at any point, feel free. I'm here. And do listen to the radio show. The radio show, of course, is on ukhealthradio.com. And you'll find my show page, which is Alchemy 1.01. If you do a search for me on ukhealthradio.com, you'll find the show page. All my shows are on there, and you can download them as well. So ukhealthradio.com, and do a search for me, Alchemy 1.01. You'll find those. So I do a show a week, and I usually have a couple of guests on. And a bit like this, we like to have a bit of fun and make it relaxed and easy.
Listen, I had to put a little Post-it note on my computer the other day. It said, don't forget to have fun.
Absolutely. Remember to have fun. Yep, that's really important, because, you know, otherwise, what are we doing? You know,
right.
And we've got to enjoy what we're doing. We've got to enjoy what we're creating and putting out into this world, right? Otherwise, what's the point? The energy that carries, what's the point of that? Fun. It's so, you know, that high energy state of having fun, laughter, enjoyment, love. That's what we're aiming for.
JJ, I feel like I was in a church service with you today. You have no idea how many times, just preach it, give me more. You have no many times I had to keep myself in my seat because I just wanted to lift my hands up and say, yes, JJ, yes.
Oh no, I hope it wasn't too preachy. Oh no.
Oh no, just so many things that just hit me to my core. And I know our community as well. You are a beautiful human being with a beautiful soul. And I am so happy that you had the strength to tap into your power, because you are sharing it with the world. And you're changing lives, my friend. And I'm happy to know you. I'm happy to love you. And I'm happy to have you here.
Oh, well, likewise. I've so enjoyed being here. Thank you so much for inviting me. And and you know, you're wonderful as well. I mean, look at what you're doing here. It's fantastic. So We're both marvelous, darling. Marvelous.
Marvelous, aren't we all? Thank you, JJ. You're the best.
Thank you so much.